How's, I guess, practice been so far in terms of the, getting the rust knocked off?
So day 3. So we had the first 2 days. It's acclimation period, so we had a chance to run around in shorts and underwear, as Coach likes to call it. So I'd say our team speed was pretty good on defense then, and then today we put the pads on, so we had the first time the opportunity, at least just the uppers, shoulder pads only. So obviously from a defensive perspective, we'll have an opportunity to go watch the film here in a moment. We'll have such a better view of where they're at and where we are defensively. I know Dave and Coach have kind of gone over this the last 2 days, but it's amazing. I want to make sure that we compliment Luke Corrala. Hopefully you guys, I hear that all the time, but just the where they're at physically, where they're at in their conditioning, and just some different body types out there than what we inherited in the spring. So pleased with those, pleased with different body types. Obviously we've got maybe not an influx of talent, but we've got new bodies. Obviously the freshmen, and then some guys, some transfers as well. That just gives us different body types out there. So we look different, which is good. And maybe I'm going too much on your first question there, Kelly, but very, very pleased with where we are relative to where we are the first day of spring, and that's obviously to be expected. But just where we are, just being able to practice efficiently, practice effectively, know what's going on, know the drills, and then just the retention of a brand new playbook, and verbiage and communication, and just a huge difference from day 1 in the spring, from day 1 in the fall, where we're at.
Are you saying that these guys can maybe do a little bit more than they could in the spring, just one from having the knowledge of being in the system for so long, for this amount of time, but also through the conditioning and the strength and all that?
Absolutely. So repetition is the mother of all skills. So they're just the playbook piece of it, the communication piece of it, knowing the practice. So we've seen that, and then just again, we're what we inherited to where they are, just body type wise, conditioning wise. They're in a really good place. We practice very fast tempo. We ask a lot of them early on. It's a little bit of shock and awe, day 1, day 2, day 3. But they've sustained well and are practicing at a really good rate, really good tempo.
David,
when you look at the secondary, they're going up against some receivers and slot receivers that nobody knew too much about because of the previous offense. Sure. It seems like they're giving you guys a lot of good challenges out there now. Yeah,
competition is king, and then we had wide receiver DB one-on-ones with a very broad route tree today, so it's great to see those guys compete. Some new bodies over there at receiver as well that are high-level ACC players, so the competition is great out there. And then just, we talked about this again, just relative to what it used to be, just getting to defend different pass concepts, different pass routes every single day, so their development is improving so much more.
In terms of your room with the linebackers, David obviously seems to kind of be the guy, and then it's trying to figure out who's going to play with him, and then kind of that rotation. What are you seeing from the other?
Yeah, we talked about that a lot in the spring, but as much as I hesitate to just individually talk about people, I want to give you a real answer, but in that room, the older guys right now that have played some downs, David Curry, Bruce Jordan-Swilling, Charlie Thomas, and Jaquez Jackson, have all, again, so this is spring, but they've all been with the A group, they've all been with the B group at one point, and we are looking to find that pleased with where they are. Bruce Jordan-Swilling, I think you guys have a chance to visit with him a little bit. He's a guy that looks different than when we got here, and lost 15 pounds in off-season program, muscled up, lost body fat, and is just running like the big-time running back he was out of high school, and is in the right place mentally. So pleased with where he's at, and has been a good pairing with David at times on the field. And then Jaquez Jackson came in and played as a true freshman quite a bit, and of course Charlie Thomas with the position change relative to what he did last year. Young man came in as a true freshman, started 6 games, and one of our better playmakers, and I think his head's in the right spot too. So a really competitive room. As much as we don't talk about freshmen, just a young man that was signed as a quarterback and then has moved over to the linebacker room and had an elite offseason for a freshman to meet your Knights, have an opportunity to come over there and learn on the run and just compete. And then some of the guys do a really good job in that room.
Looking at the defensive end position, a lot of guys that really haven't gotten a lot of game experience there. How have they progressed?
They have an unbelievable advantage of having Marco Coleman as their coach. He does a great job, and then we split up the defensive tackle and the defensive end, so the way that he's allowed to give them attention, and then just the elite coach that he is. So they're developing, and that's we are mixing that depth chart up and that roster up like crazy. So a lot of guys are getting reps there. Again, that's another position where just retention of knowledge of the guys that are coming back from the spring. And then we've got some new bodies in there as well. Antonius Clayton's over there, and he's learn about all the eligibility stuff later, but he's given us a heavy-handed physical presence when he's had the opportunity to be in there in practice. So pleased with the development, and we've got to find, right? We've got to find the above-the-line depth chart. There's a lot of bodies that are getting reps, right? However we do it with the A's and B's groups, but definitely not a defined above the line in that room. They're fighting to be above it.
How much have you and Coach Collins and the rest of the staff, defensive staff kind of had to think about your approach in the offseason after seeing what you have? A little thin, particularly experience-wise up front on the defensive side.
Yeah.
Does that change? Did you change maybe some approaches or concepts in your mind going into fall camp now?
So we learned so much more about our roster in the spring, what they can or can't do. The unique thing, though, is there was such a jump developmentally, body type-wise, and where they are physically from spring to fall, maybe more so than even normal. And now you're still in an evaluation phase, so you don't want to come in with any preconceived notions for the fall, even though they've got a huge body of work from what they did in the offseason, what they did in spring ball, where they are now. But again, I'll keep echoing just how we look different right now. So we've got a lot of depth there, to your point, and to your point, we don't have much experience. So there's no issues fielding a bunch of different groups and teams to get out there and get reps. The issue is just at some point figuring out what the lineups are and who's going to be above the line, who plays well together, so we can get the communication, the execution piece, and the camaraderie piece together.
Dave had mentioned the same thing you were about guys changing their bodies and being able to do different things. Is that like they're faster or able to get more of a push? How would you kind of describe what the difference is in some of these guys?
It's different. Again, I've already spoken about Bruce Jordan Swilling. I'm pointing over here because he's going to come in a moment. But he's a guy that lost 15 pounds,
right,
but increased his lean mass. So that's kind of the elite example of that. And then a guy like Tyler Davis, who put on 25 pounds in the off season, yet he's running faster per our catapult, our science. So I don't think there's a perfect science. They just look leaner. There's more muscle mass. There's less body fat, and they're very well conditioned.
How much was Huff able to accomplish by coming in early and playing in the spring?
Yeah, I think it's an unbelievable advantage. Just use an example, Huff, and then Keenan Johnson's a new corner that's done some really nice things out there. But you can't even compare it. Just the advantage he has of knowing the system and knowing how we practice, and he's able to progress much faster. So that's always an advantage when young men are able to come in January and get that entire spring. And then not to mention once he gets to the fall and he's able to manage the classroom and manage the lifestyle of it is to be a college student. So a huge advantage for him.
You're still trying to find your second, probably third, fourth corner. You have Trey, and then it's been kind of a different group of guys. What are you seeing from like John King or Zamari or those guys?
Similar to the defensive ends, that's where we are. And I remember you asking that question in the spring. So we're still in there. Some young freshman bodies, Miles Sims, we'll figure out about his eligibility. He's another body that's out there but that thing is, you're fighting to be above the line, and competition is king. So I don't know how to answer any better than that. Positives and negatives, they flashed and they made mistakes like everybody at every position, but we're fighting to figure out who that is. It's very early on. It's day 3. Today was the first time we've had a chance to get in uppers. We'll get through the fan day tomorrow, another uppers day, and then we'll get back Monday after a day off Sunday, and that's where we'll be full pads and be able to see more. As always, I mentioned this to everyone in the spring as well, we go very heavily installation early on, so we get as much in as possible, and they kind of work there to get back to execution and fundamentals and being able to play fast. I know I didn't do a good job answering your question, but it's a very competitive position, and I don't have an answer to you who that next one is. We're figuring that out.
Jair,
Couple more for Coach Thacker.
Jair's back on offense. Is that still kind of fluid with him?
He's been a multi guy, and he's been a great teammate. We lost some legs a little bit at receiver, so he's been a great teammate. He's going back over, and saw him have a little graphic or whatever about a touchdown catch yesterday. The first day he had an interception at cornerback, so he legitimately has played both spots within 3 days of camp to speak to flexibility. So and has had a great attitude about it. So very pleased with him as a young man.
I was talking to Wanye the other day, and he was talking about how much responsibility he takes in being, I guess, the spark plug of this entire defense. Is that something that you see?
I do see that. And I remember Coach Burton mentioned that to you all in the spring as well. he just positively affects his teammates. He's just one that's naturally engaging to his teammates. They feed off of his energy. He's a bright, smiley kid. So, and then it works to our favor that he's an elite player. He's an elite player, elite talent. And last year he was an elite kick returner, but we want him to be an elite ACC safety, and he has the top end potential to be able to do that. And is locked in, is engaged, improved in the off season, and is really, to be a true sophomore, is a leader in our defensive room, which is nice to have.
Anything else?
Here's David Curry. What have you seen out of him, and what can he be for you in this defense?
Yeah, he can be the absolute leader of our defense because of confidence based off demonstrated ability. He is just solid out there. Dissimilar to a lot of our other guys, he's played a bunch of downs and has real experience and has played at a high level at times. I think he's more confident in where he's at, more so than ever. And I think you'll see a ton of production out of him. And then obviously the intangible piece of just being the Mike linebacker, who's the biggest communicator on the defense, getting us lined up, getting us in the right execution. And I think his confidence is sky high where he's at right now. So we're very pleased with him, and just to be more complimentary of his leadership skills as well.